بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. خب, Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Fiqh Istidlali. As you remember, we were discussing the hadith from Marwazi, which was Muzmara, and was suggesting that there is kafara when dust reaches inside. So just as a kind of quick reminder, so this was the hadith ما رواه الشيخ بإسناده عن محمد بن الحسن الصفار عن محمد بن عيسى عن سليمان بن جعفر المروزي from Marv, Khurasan. قال سمعته يقول, this is Muzmara, we don't know from whom. One issue was this, as you remember. يقول إذا تمضمض الصائم في شهر رمضان أو استنشق متعمدا أو شم رائحة غليظة أو كنس بيتا فدخل في أنفه وحلقه غبار فعليه الصوم شهرين متتابعين فإن ذلك له مفطر. So based on this, when there is kafara, and also it says this is muftir, so it means that one has to consider wusul al-ghibar as one of muftirat. خب, one issue was ضعف السند, which of course we said because it's mentioned in the narrators of Kamil al-Ziyarat by Ibn Qulawai. Therefore, if someone accepts that as a tawthiqa am, this problem is solved. Then we had other issues, izmar, etc. هناك إشكالات أخرى. إشكال أول, إشكال ثاني, we discussed. Now we go to al-ishkal al-thalith, the third ishkal. Just I wanted you to remember, of course, inshallah you remember already, because you do mubaitha. So the third objection to arguing based on this hadith Marwazi for wusul al-ghibar being muftir. The third ishkal is that this hadith is in conflict with another hadith. أن الرواية يعني رواية مروزي معارضة بموثقة عمرو بن سعيد. موثقة, as you remember, is a hadith that involves one or more non-Shia narrator, but it is accepted because that person is verified. So Amr ibn Sa'id from Imam Rida alayhi salam quotes, سألته عن الصائم يتدخن بعود أو بغير ذلك فتدخل الدخنة في حلقه. Someone, or maybe dakhna also is used. Someone is smoking oud, which smells very nice, or something else, and then smoke goes inside. This is not about ghibar. The part about ghibar comes, but remember this part because after ghibar we will talk about dukhan. فقال جائز لا بأس به. According to this hadith, Imam alayhi salam said, no problem. قال, again Amr ibn Sa'id says, وَسَأَلْتُهُ عَنِ الصَّائِمِ يَدْخُلُ الْغِبَارُ فِي حَلْقِهِ. Or Sheikh Irwani later says, maybe it is يُدْخِلُ الْغِبَارَ فِي حَلْقِهِ. If it is يَدْخُلُ, doesn't mean that it is intentional, but if it is يُدْخِلُ, then it is intentional. Now let us read يدخل. سألته عن الصائم يدخل الغبار في حلقه. Dust goes inside his throat, or through his throat goes inside. Again, according to the Imam said, no problem, لا بأس. خب, تعارض, when two hadiths, I again mentioned this as we had it before. You remember that ta'aruz hadithain is when both have passed the tests of verification, yeah? So when one hadith is weak, another hadith is verified, there is no ta'aruz. Ta'aruz is when each hadith by itself is verified. It's good enough to be taken. But now they conflict each other, okay? So we are not talking in Usul al-Fiqh when we say ta'arud about two hadiths that one or maybe both of them are weak. So one is muwathaqa, one suppose is also accepted. Suppose we solve the problems of Izmar, etc. about Marwazi's hadith. So there is ta'aruz. خب, بعد التساقط تعارضا, إذا تعارضا تساقطا. Normally both are dropped. What should we do then? We should look for another evidence. For example, if you want to look at it from Orfi perspective, imagine you reach a crossroad and you want to go to another city. There is a sign which says turn right. There is a sign which says turn left. Two opposite directions. If there was only one sign and it looked, something, that police, or authorities put, you would trust. Now there are two signs, each of them looks to be original. It's not that one looks, manipulated, etc. Two signs look the same and both are by themselves good. One is says go to this direction, one says go to the opposite direction. What do? You cannot say I do taqiyya. I choose whatever I like. No. Then you lose your trust in both of them and look for additional evidence. Okay? So here بعد التساقط نرجع إلى إطلاق صحيحة ابن مسلم. Sahih Muhammad ibn Muslim, you remember, was saying that there are three things that if you avoid, it's okay. One was akl and shurb as one thing, although they can be considered two. One was marital relation, the other was irtimas. So anything apart from those three, according to the umum or itlaq of Sahih Muhammad ibn Muslim, is not a problem. Of course, it's umum or itlaq. Always, if there is evidence, we can modify it. But umum or itlaq says only those. So, if we go to umum or itlaq of Sahih Muhammad ibn Muslim, so wusul al-ghibar shouldn't be a problem. Okay? نرجع إلى إطلاق صحيحة ابن مسلم الحاصرة, means التي تحصر, means restricts it, all the muftarat restricts muftarat to 3. خب. And if someone has issue with that, okay, what is asl? whenever we don't have any hadith, any ayah, any dalil, then we go to asl. Means if we were left to ourselves and we didn't have any hadith or ayah about this issue, what is asl? What is the first assumption or first principle? Is that it shouldn't be a problem. So asl is similar to what Sahih Muhammad al-Muslim is suggesting. وبقطع النظر عن ذلك نرجع إلى الأصل والنتيجة هي. So far, what is the conclusion based on إشكال الثالث? The conclusion is that we cannot act according to Marwazi's hadith, and we say there is no problem in dust reaching the stomach or inside. But some people have tried to answer to this objection, the third objection, on behalf of those who say ghibar is muftir. What is their point? How they want to do jam? They say, let us find a solution. Ta'aruz is when there is no jam'a urfi. Yeah, if there is jam'a urfi, there is no ta'aruz. Like am and khas may look that they conflict, but urf says there is no conflict. There is jam'a urfi, means something that urf accepts as reconciliation. Akram al-ulama means all ulama. La tukrib al-fussaqa min al-ulama. It looks conflicting with that, but uqala say no, this means akram al-ulama illa al-fussaq. The same with itlaq and taqid, etc. So here the answer is, instead of saying ta'araza tasaqata, we say no, there is a jam, there is a way to reconcile. باللزوم الجمع بينهما بالتخصيص. Takhsis is a jam' urfi. How? We say that Riwayat Marwazi is about intentional, act. فإن الرواية المروزي أخذت قيد العمد. Of course, let us go back. Amd is not mentioned for all of them, but this person wants to say it is possible that it includes qubar. You see now again Riwayat Marwazi. إذا تمضمض الصائم في شهر رمضان أو استنشق متعمدا. Amd is mentioned here about putting water inside the nose. خب تعمد is not mentioned for غبار. شم رائحة غليظة متعمدا is not there. كنس بيتا فدخل في أنفه وحلقه غبار is not متعمدا. It is for the second one, or you can say first and second perhaps. تمزمز الصائم في شهر رمضان أو استنشق متعمدا. Maybe someone says it's for first and second. Maximum is these two. But it seems that what is known is for the second. Okay, now let's go back. This person who wants to reply to إشكال الثالث says إن رواية المروذي أخذت قيد العمد. Okay, but then what? والظاهر, this is what he wants to say, but it's too difficult to accept this. But anyway, this is what he says. رجوعه إلى الجميع لا خصوص الأولين. This متعمدا is for all of them. The one before, the second, and then the ones that come afterwards. He's not even satisfied to say this is for the first two. He says also for all who come later. This is one thing. So he says, then for ghibar is also muta'ammadan, but in muwassaqah, it's general. So we can say, if there is muta'ammadan, there is kafara. If there is no muta'ammadan, no problem. مضافا إلى أن إيجاب الكفارة قرينة أخرى على رجوعه إلى الجميع. He says we have additional evidence. In Marwazi was talking about kafara as well. There is issue of kafara, and he says it's muftir. خب, this person says, of course we question this, but this person says, خب, when kafara is needed, when something which is breaking fast is committed intentionally. This person says. So he says this is another qarina. أن إيجاب الكفارة قرينة أخرى على رجوعه يعني رجوع قيد عمد إلى الجميع. In Marwazi. بينما الموثقة مطلقة, but in موثقة there is no mention of متعمد or غير متعمد. It's general مطلقة. إذ لا موجب لاحتمال اختصاصها بحال العمد. There is no possibility of saying that موثقة is exclusive to حالت عمد, to the condition of intentional, decision. Because this is موثقة. Let me again refer to موثقة. سألته عن الصائم يتدخن بعود أو بغير ذلك فتدخل الدخن دخن في حلقه فقال جائز لا بأس به وسألته عن الصائم يدخل الغبار في حلقه قال لا بأس. So he says you don't see here a sign of being متعمد. الموثقة مطلقة إذ لا موجب لاحتمال اختصاصها بحالة العمد. Yes, maybe someone says موثقة has two parts. This first part, which is about تدخن, means smoking. Maybe someone says يتدخن is an intentional act. So when someone is smoking, knows that smoke goes inside. So maybe someone says this is intentional. But even if we accept this, what about the second part? سألته عن الصائم يدخل الغبار في حلقه. It's not like smoking that you do it deliberately. Okay, this is the point that this person wants to say. لا موجب لاحتمال اختصاصها يعني اختصاص موثقة بحالة العمد. There is no reason to say this is exclusive to the condition of being deliberately or intentionally done. Except ظهور السؤال الأول يتدخن بقرينة قول السائل يتدخن فإنه ظاهر في الاختيار. Yeah, you don't smoke unintentionally. Maybe you smoke without thinking about it, without focusing. But anyway, you do tadkhin with thinking and with intention. وقولوا عليه السلام جائز. خب, Imam says jaiz. If Imam had said just la ba'asa, maybe you said it means it doesn't break the fasting. But when it says jaiz, jaiz is a quality which is used in response to something which is done intentionally. If you do it sahwan, we don't say something which is done sahwan is jaiz. We say what is done sahwan is not causing problem. But if we say jaiz, it's not very suitable, because sahw is not intentional, and anything intentional doesn't have hukm. Unless someone is careless, and because of carelessness we can question why this carelessness led to sahv. That's another issue. خب لا معنا للجائز في حالات السهو, because there is no attention. خب suppose you say this for the first part, that the first part is for حالة العمد, then Marwazi is also for حالة العمد, and there is conflict. Okay, if it was حالة العمد. But what about the whole hadith, the whole muwaththaq, the second part of it? لكن ذلك لا يصلح لتخصيص السؤال الثاني بذلك. This is not a good reason, it's not enough to do takhsis with respect to the second part, and it seems that each question is independent. بعد استقلال أحدهما عن الآخر. This person asked Imam Raza 2 questions. خب, this is a reply given to the third objection. وَيَنْدَفِعُ الْجَوَابِ. Now Sheikh Ilwani says, we don't accept this reply. Why? Because as I said, Amd was mentioned in the middle for the second one, or maximum first and second. But for the ones that come after that, including Ghibar, why you say it's about Amdi? يندفع الجواب بأن الرواية المروزي لو كانت مختصة بحالة العمد لذكر قيد العمد في آخرها, يعني في آخر الرواية, لا في أثنائها. If this amd was for all of them and the riwayah was only about amdi, about intentional cases, so we should have made it, mention it in the end, not in the middle. At least if we say, because one may say certainly those which come after amd, they are not amdi. At least you can say it's ambiguous, it's mujmal. But maybe someone says no, it's not mujmal, it's known that it is ghayra amdi, because amd is mentioned in the middle. Why mention the middle? There was a reason for it. If the other ones were also going to be amdi, why it's not mentioned at the end? But to compromise, لا أقل من الإجمال من هذه الناحية, at least from this point. Again, this is a beautiful rule, these rules are very important, When a hadith which is authentic or it's verified is mujmal from one aspect, it doesn't mean that the whole hadith would collapse. Maybe from other aspects there is no ijmal. من هذه الناحية means whether it is intentional or unintentional as well. From this point of view is ambiguous, but from other perspectives, if it is clear, mubayyan, we can act upon it. So this is also a good rule to remember. So, this person also said Ijabul Kaffara means that Marwazi was for Amd. We say Ijabul Kaffara la yaslahu dalilan ala ikhtisasaha bitilka al-hala, yani halat al-amd. The fact that Kaffara was mentioned as something which is needed, this is not good enough to be a reason, a proof for saying that this hadith entirely was about Amd. Why? Because there is no proof that kafara is only for halat amdi. Do Do you have any intellectual proof for that? إن الحكم باختصاص الكفارة بحالة العمد ليس عقليا. It's not that it is an intellectual hukm and therefore cannot be modified. It is hukm shar'i, and hukm shar'i can be modified, can be, something which is aqli, like asl illiyat. You cannot have takhsis, you cannot have istisna unless the law itself, the philosophical rule itself, has quyud and shurut. Then it means that it was not the rule in its generality. But if the rule is established, no exception is there. We cannot do takhsis or exclude anything. But hukm shar'i is possible to the extent that we say ma min ammin illa waqad khussa. Maybe most of the time Shari' says that kafara is for intentional actions, but it can also sometimes be for intention. For example, maybe in Hajj, in some cases, if someone does something in ihram, even unintentionally, they can be kafara. So there is no proof. إن الحكم باختصاص الكفارة بحالة العمد ليس عقليا حتى لا يمكن تخصيصه فيمكن الحكم بثبوت الكفارة مطلقا، یعنی سواء كان عمديا و غير عمديا في شم الرائحة والغبار. مطلقا یعنی عمدی و غیر عمدی، not مطلقا in all cases, because the case is شم الرائحة والغبار. So this was not a good evidence. He wanted to use the Mujib wanted to use this as an evidence that kafara is only when there is amd. Then if someone says in ta'aruz, in conflict between hadith marwazi and muwassaqe, we say hadith marwazi is for amd, and then muwassaq is mutlaq or mu'am, becomes makhsus, mahsur, restricted to what? To non-amdi, non-intentional. Because this is the way, like akram al-ulama la tukram al-fusaq min al-ulama, that means akram al-ulama ghayr fusaq. Okay, so if we accept that there is takhsis, then it means that muwassaqe becomes what? Muwassaqe becomes for only sahb, unintentional. Al-muwassaqatu fayab'udu hasruha bihalat as-sahb. It's very unlikely to say it is only about sahb. Why? لأنها جواب من الإمام, because this is a reply from Imam Raza alayhi salam. وَلَيْسَ كَلَامًا ابْتِدَائِيًا لِيَقْبَلَ الْحَمْلَ عَلَى حَالَةِ السَّهْوِ بِالْخُصُوص بَلْ السَّائِلُ سَأَلَ عَنْ ذَلِكَ وَهُوَ لَيْسَ بِنَاظِرٍ إِلَى خُصُوصِ حَالَةِ السَّهْوِ جَزْمٌ. When there is question and answer, and the question is general, answer should also be general. If Imam had not received the question and was just talking, you can say, okay, Am becomes Khas, etc. But someone asked the question is general. He didn't say about someone who is doing something sahwan. How can then the answer of Imam be just for someone who does this sahwan? If the question is general, answer has to be general. So definitely it's not, the question was not about sahw. The question was not about sahw. خب Allahumma illa an yuqal. This Allahumma illa an yuqal is when ulama want to say something out of insaf, out of fairness, to take the side of the other party and say, maybe this can be said, the maximum that we can say on behalf of the other party is to say that when Sa'il, the one who asks Imam questions, says Yadkhulul ghibar, Yadkhulu, ghibar goes inside, means without this person's decision, goes inside. So maybe this means that this happened afwiyan, means automatically, لا عمديا. خب لكنه يندفع بصلاحية ذلك للأعم. But he says this can be also for when someone does something and knows that qubar is going inside. Especially if we read yudkhilo. You know, this muwathaq was this. سألته عن الصائم يتدخن بعود أو بغير ذلك فتدخل الدخنة في حلقه فقال جاز نابد وقال وسألته عن الصائم. This second part. سألته عن الصائم يدخل الغبار في حلقه یا يدخل الغبار في حلقه. If it is يدخل, this is obvious that it is عمدي. No one can say this is sahwi. If it is يدخل الغبار, okay, so someone says يدخل الغبار means sahwi, but we say no, it's general, because even if you are, you know, cleaning a home and you know that ghibar can come, again you can say دخل يدخل الغبار في حلقه. خب ألا أنه means moreover يحتمل كونه يدخل becomes يدخل بضم الياء أي من المتعدي باب افعال ادخل يدخل ادخالا فيدل على العمد. خب from all these discussions that we have had this week and last week, من هذا كله اشکال اول، اشکال ثانی، اشکال ثالث، یتضح عدم امکان التمسک به روایت المروزی لاثبات مفتریت الغبار حتی لو تمت سندن. Even if we accept that sanad is okay, at least we have problems because اشکال ثانی and ثالث were not about sanad but about dalala. So at least there are still two problems. وَيُؤَكِّدُ ذَلِكَ, what supports this is حصر صحيحة ابن مسلم, صحيح محمد بن مسلم, المفترية بغيره. Muftariyah was restricted to other things. Three things: aklan shurb, one, marital relation, and irtimas. نعم يبقى الاحتياط أمرا وجيها تحفظا من مخالفة المشهور. In order to avoid from differing from mashhur of ulama, then it's better to do ihtiyat and not to let ghibar reach inside, and if it goes inside, to do غذا. ثم إنه لو بنينا على المفترية فينبغي استثناء ما يثير الهوى ما يثيره الهوى وفاقا لصاحب الجواهر وأستاذه كاشف الغطاء. If we accept that ghibar is muftir, okay, suppose we accept this, but even if we accept this, we should exclude ما يثيره الهوا. If air, for example, wind brings غبار، وفاقا لصاحب الجواهر و استاده کاشف الغطا حسب ما نقل عنه. According to Sahib al-Jawahir and according to his teacher Kashif al-Ghita, as it's reported from him. Because for Sahib al-Jawahir we go to Jawahir, but for Kashif al-Ghita he is quoting from Jawahir. So Sheikh Najafi Sahib Jawahir, he says that my teacher also has this idea. So therefore he says حسب ما نقل و خلافا للسید اليزدی صاحب عروه و جماعت آخرین حیث عمم المفتریت له. Sahib Urwe and some other people, they say even if this ghabar comes with air, it is problem. But these people say no, it's when you clean, for example, the house and then ghabar comes, not that it's done by itself. Why we say this? Al-wajhu fi dhalik. So this is the reason for saying that ma yuthiru al-hawa is not a problem. Al-qusuru fi muqtada ta'mim. Muqtazi ta'mim is better. What is muqtazi for ta'mim? Was riwayat Marwazi. Riwayat Marwazi, if you remember, was about kanasa beitan. Someone is cleaning home and dust is raised in the air. So this is not about hawa, air brings it. Al-qusur fi muqtazi, muqtazi ta'mim. Muqtazi for hukm is what we should act upon it unless there is mane. فإن الرواية المروزي مختصة بالإثارة الاختيارية. It's limited to when intentionally you raise dust. والخصوصية محتملة, and this خصوصية, you cannot do إلغاء خصوصية. You cannot say, although it was saying kanasa beitan, for example, but it's not important. Why you say it's not important? Maybe it's important. Even ihtimal of madkhaliyat, even if we say that this is likely bearing on the hawk, then it's enough to keep it. إذا جاء الاحتمال بطل الاستدلال. والخصوصية محتملة فلا يتعدى إلى ما يحصل بغير اختيار. So that ruling cannot go beyond and include something which happens by air, for example. Number 2, the second reason for agreeing with Sahib Jawahir and Kashif al-Ghita is ibtilaiyatul mas'ala. Means this mas'ala is mubtala biha. بحيث لو كان الحكم بالمفترية شاملا لما لم يكن بالاختيار. If the ruling for muftariyat qibar was including even what is not intentional, then this should have become well known among mutasharri at least, that even if air comes, there is a problem and you have to close your mouth or put something close inside in front of your mouth, etc. Lashtahara wa dha'a. This hukm would have become famous and well spread. Khob, alhamdulillah, the discussion about ghibar finished. Now, ad-dukhan, smoke. And when we say dukhan, smoke, it can mean a smoke of like cigarette and things like that, Or maybe there is fire, or someone is cooking on fire, and now, for example, is when you use these ovens, maybe there is not that much smoke, but if you use wood and coal, etc., maybe sometimes there are lots of smoke. So smoke in general, this is the topic. هل الدخان ومنه دخان السكائر cigar, is it muftir? Is it breaking fasting? قد يجاب بالإيجاب. It is sometimes answered, yes. So some fuqaha say you cannot smoke when you are fasting. وَذَلِكَ لِوُجُوهٍ. And they have different reasons. They argue in different ways. Number one, ما نسبه في المدارك والحدائق إلى بعض المتأخرين. Sahib Madarik and Sahib Hadaiq, they have attributed this to some of متأخرين من العلماء من التمسك. Normally in fiqh, when they say متأخرين, they don't mean contemporary, they mean after Allama Hilli. إلى بعض المتأخرين من التمسك بدليل مفترية الغبار. They say, for the same reason that ghibar is muftir, dukhan is also muftir. So some people use the same argument. بتقريب. And the explanation is as follows. The way they articulate this argument is أن الغبار إنما كان مفترا أو أنما كان مفترا لأنه مجموعة ذرات تتعدى إلى الحلق. Why غبار dust was muftir? Because غبار is some particles that go to the throat. تتعدى means to invade, but means spreads and goes to stomach. خب دخان is also the same. دخان also مجموعة من ذرات, of course maybe a smaller particles, and they go inside. Sheikh Irwani says this is qiyas, because we are not sure they have the same ruling. This is not tanqih manat. This is not something that we can be sure. أنه قياس واضح إذ الغبار غير الدخان. غبار is different from dukhan. Sometimes the difference is so little that we can be sure that it's not making any difference in Sharia. But here, no. Number two, ما حكاه في الجواهر عن كاشف الغطاء. Sahib Jawahir quotes from his teacher that أن من اعتاد الدخان وتلذذ به كان ذلك قائما مقام القوت. Sahib Jawahir says from his teacher that if someone is used to a smoke and is enjoying a smoking, then it becomes like eating. Actually, some people who are used to smoking, sometimes they can resist against hunger, but some of them cannot resist against desire for a smoking. So من اعتاد الدخان وتلذذ به, whoever is used to a smoke and is smoking and is getting pleasure from it, this becomes similar to qut, like food. وَكَانَ أَشَدَّ مِنَ الْغِبَارِ, and this is more severe than ghibar. No one enjoys ghibar. In the months of Ramadan, if someone is fasting, wouldn't say that, okay, now I want to have some dust. But many people may say, I want to have a cigarette now. those who are used to, accustomed. وفيه, again Sheikh Irwani says, خب, if this is the case, what about someone who is not used to this smoke, is not enjoying, for example, a smoke which comes from fire, a smoke which comes from cars and buses that use diesel, etc. Sometimes they make smoke. What about that one? أنه يختص بمن اعتاد وتلذذ. Then this argument would be exclusive to those who are used to a smoke and enjoy, like those who are addicted to cigarette. ولا يعم من تعاطاه اتفاقا. It wouldn't include someone who comes to a smoke, takes the smoke, but not because he's addicted or accustomed to it or enjoys it. Plus, who said if you enjoy something and get pleasure, it becomes like food and eating? مضافا إلى أن مجرد التلذذ لا يصيره قوتا بعد عدم التحقق الشبع به. Do you become full with this? It's like filling your stomach? No. بل لا يكفى ذلك حتى مع التحقق الشبع. He says, even if someone after this says, I'm full, I don't feel hungry, again, it's not problem. Why? Because the criteria is not pleasure, the criteria is not whether you feel, hungry or not. The criteria is it considered as akl or shurb or not? Because muftir here, which is similar to this, is akl and shurb. لعدم الصدق الأكل أو الشرب عرفا. Third way they have argued, ما في الجواهر من أنه بناء على مفترية كل ما وصل إلى الجوف وإن لم يكن معتادا كالغبار يلزم الحكم بمفترية الدخان. If you remember, we had a discussion when we talked about akl and shurb. Does akl have to be with something which is eatable normally? We talked about, for example, turab. Someone eats turab. It's not a ma'kul or fan. We had this discussion. Some ulama said that is also akl. Some said no. So Sahib Jawahir says, if we say it doesn't need to be mu'tad, anything which goes inside, it's eaten, it is muftir. بناء على مفترية كل ما وصل إلى الجوف. Anything which goes inside, even if it is not mu'tadan, means it's not eatable normally, people don't eat it as a food. كالغبار, this is a problem. Based on this foundation, this mabna, يلزم الحكم بمفترية الدخان. Why? Because sometimes dukhan can be even more than dust. Sometimes dukhan is thicker than dust. Sometimes. The answer is that we didn't accept anything goes inside is muftir. The question at most is that if it is accepted by Urf as akl, and here Urf doesn't consider this as akl. وفيه إن كان يقصد أن كل ما يصل إلى الجوف مفطر وإن لم يصدق الأكل أو الشرب. If he means that anything that goes inside is breaking, breaks the fasting, even if it is not considered by Urf as akl or shurb. We said before that no, يرده ما تقدم من أن المستفاد من الأدلة. What can be understood from the references is that it has to be akl or shurb. So if you want to say without becoming akl or shurb, it is still a problem? No. You cannot say just because it goes in. This was our mabna. فيرده ما تقدم من أن المستفاد من الأدلة إناطة المفترية بأحد عنوانين. مفتريات depends on either akl or shurb. If Sahib Jawahir wants to say just reaching inside is enough without becoming akl or shurb, is a problem. If he wants to say no, it is akl or shurb, he wants to say it. Dukhan, when goes inside, is considered by Urf as akl and shurb. We say no. Urf don't consider this as akl or shurb. وإن كان يقصد أن أحد العنوانين صادق لمرور الدخان. When dukhan goes inside the throat, it is considered by Urf as akl or shurb. We say no. يرده أن الدخان أشبه بالهواء. Dukhan is like air. If air goes inside, dukhan goes inside, people don't say akl or shurb has happened. What Urf considers akl or shurb is لابد أن يكون الجسم. So it must be something solid. ذا جرم, must have some mass. بنظر العرف, according to the opinion of Urf. And even if you say, I am not sure, if you don't accept our view, okay, you can say, I am in doubt. Even doubt would not change the situation. لا أقل من الشك فيما ليس جرما. When you have doubt whether akl has happened because there is no جرمية, يتمسك بالبراءة. Because fasting needs to be assumed that it continues unless there is something which is proved to be a problem. Then there are few more arguments that I don't know, maybe we can leave it inshallah for the next session, which are not very difficult, but because time is getting finished, so inshallah we can discuss it bi'idhnillah in the next session. After dukhan, inshallah we'll talk about bukhar, about steam, and then inshallah this discussion finishes and we go to another muftarat. But this ghubar and dukhan and bukhar are similar. Inshallah we'll talk about each of them which are remaining. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Is there any question? May Allah bless you, inshallah. May Allah bless you, inshallah. التماس دعاء. في أمان الله.